Okay.
Talk. This is Morey Robert B. Holman Jr.
Moray Jean Appleton.
and this is Hebrews
Hebrews
in
in
Exile.
Exile.
Good to be back with you this evening on this podcast.
Yes.
I'm going to cut right to the chase tonight, and the reason I'm going to do that is because I am constantly asked a question about the New Testament, and I had a conversation last week with. I guess he's still a friend. I don't know.
Okay.
Because after we resolved the fact that I don't believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, all of a sudden the conversation ended, and we'll stay in touch.
Oh, okay.
But I want to talk about this issue, and the issue is about believing that the New Testament is inspired by the set-apart Spirit.
Okay. Let's do it.
And I want to start somewhere because I'm always asked about this.
Okay.
Do I believe in the New Testament as being inspired by God or the set-apart Spirit? And my answer to that question is always no. But nobody ever asks me why I say no.
Okay.
You know.
Great
And
topic.
and you know and my no, my answer is not an opinion. It's based on Scripture.
Okay. Got it.
Okay? So, thinking about this, and thinking about the fact that Scripture predates 50 and 120 CE. It's the words that the Most High has spoken to individuals that he could trust to relay his message to mankind.
Agreed.
Now, it's an interesting point, and I'm going to make this point up front. It's an interesting point that there is no validation in the Hebraic scriptures of anything replacing it.
True. That's true.
So we have to ask a question. Who was it that said and defined Scripture, which is Genesis or Bereshit to Malachi or Bereshit to Second Chronicles? Who declared that to be old?
Oh, okay. I think a group that was assembled to do that. But I'm pretty sure you have all that there.
No, I don't.
You don't?
No. I'm pretty sure you know, though.
Oh, because I'm going to go to the Council of Nicaea.
Okay.
I'm going to go straight there. I'm going to pull Constantine in there. I'm going to pull all them folks in there.
Now, let me jump off of this track for just a second.
Okay.
Do you realize that there are a majority of pastors in pulpits that do not know diddly about the Nicene Council and Constantine of AD 325?
I absolutely agree with you. 100%. 100%.
And what kills me is they want to hang a title on themselves as having a THDDD and a DDD and a PDD and a PODD and a no DD
Okay.
in front of their names. Prescribe themselves as a bishop and an apostle and they do not know the origin of their religion.
And again, these are folks that have that credential, because I was speaking to the most part for us, it's rare for me to run into pastors that have actually gone through the cemetery or the seminary that we call that.
Yeah.
And it's more of a learned thing. It's something that's kind of passed down. Well, I was ordained by this particular person, but that information never gets relayed because the person that taught them didn't know themselves. So there is a plethora of pastors that are out there that I believe that don't know that. And if they do know that, it's one of the Achilles heels that's a part of the Christian faith that I believe that they know about, they will never unearth publicly.
Well, okay. So let me, in talking about this subject, I want to appeal to their document in 2 Timothy,
Sure.
chapter 3, verse 16.
Okay, we're going in somebody else's house.
Yeah,
now.
we're going. I gotta go. I have to go over there because this right here, this statement right here, is the statement that tells you blatantly that the New Testament is not Scripture.
2 Timothy, where we going?
Chapter 3, verse 16.
Verse 16. Got it.
It says,
All right.
all Scripture is Elohim breathed and is valuable for teaching the truth, convicting of sin, correcting fault, and training in right living. Thus, anyone who belongs to Yahweh or to El may be fully equipped for every good work. Now, question.
Right. What is
he talking about?
You and I know that he's talking about the Hebraic writings.
He's talking about the Hebraic writings from Bereshit to 2 Chronicles. Why?
Well, let's stop there for a second. Because I think we probably need to broaden that explanation. Because I was very specific when I said the Hebraic writings.
Okay.
Because not only do we have Bereshit to Malachi or Chronicles, however it's been canonized in the particular book that you're reading, but there's also exterior books that are of note. The book of Yasher, that's mentioned in there, the book of Edo, all those books that are actually mentioned in these canonized deuterocanonical books that are in the quote-unquote Bible, air quotes Bible, are also part of the Hebraic scriptures as well. So it's the Hebraic writings.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But in the book of Timothy,
Sure.
the writer here is telling you something that exists before these writings ever came into existence.
Right.
So he's telling you what Scripture is. Mm-hmm. So now you can't all of a sudden 400 years later or whenever these came about, okay, call them Scripture.
That is 100%. Just running the chronological order of
historical documentation or information tells you that the New Testament is not set apart Scripture because he's telling you what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that everybody who reads this particular text knows. They know that when he says all Scripture, Yah breathed, teaching truth, convicting sin, correcting faults, training in right living, they know that that is talking about the Hebrew text.
Okay.
They know that.
Are we talking about pastors or are we talking about everybody?
I'm talking about everybody. I'm talking about everybody. They know that.
Okay, because I'm going to have to raise my hand and say, if I ask that question to any of my folks, I know that they would say that's the Bible. That's 1 John, Galatians, Corinthians, they would say that is Scripture because that's their definition of what Scripture is. Was they look at it as that book?
That's because Timothy 3:16 is not explained to them historically. There is no Matthew. There is no Mark. There is no Luke. There is no John.
That's right.
There is none of these so-called writings at all.
When that statement is being made.
When this statement is being made.
Interesting point. And well.
So now
it's very emphatic.
So now when I look at things, there's only one way that I'm looking at things. When you and I are talking about things of the Most High, there's only one way that we're looking at it. We're looking at it from its foundational point, which takes us beyond talking about this in terms of Bereshit to Malachi or 2 Chronicles. It takes us to a place where we are engrossed in the Masorah or the Masoretic text, which predates the writings of King James, who chronicled 70, the Septuagint, 70 people to translate the Hebrew text into Greek. The Hebrew predates that.
Absolutely. And you know what? Here's another thing that I can maybe add and piggyback to what you're saying. If you just got done telling me, and I read it for myself here, it says in 16, all. That's the first word that comes out, all. Not some.
Not some.
But all. All Scripture. So how is it that you can be in the New Testament and then turn around and say that the law has been done away with if all Scripture is breathed and is valuable for teaching the truth? What is the truth?
What is the truth? Because now you have to ask yourself a question. What in the Greek document that the Most High did not ordain, he does not sign off of it.
Correct.
Now when I say sign off of it, when you read Hebrew text with a Hebraic mind, and you get out of the Eurocentric Bibles where they've got you saying all kind of stuff, where they have purposely left out the name of the Most High and deleted it out of the text 68,000 times in text and given you Lord and God. You have to ask yourself a question. Oh, I can't use that terminology.
Yeah, okay. Got you. I'm not going to egg you on like I did before. Well, go ahead.
What else did those MFs do? Meaning malfeasance.
Malfeasance.
What else did those malfeasance do?
Oh, boy. True. Very true. Very valid question. Absolutely.
So you're reading a document and you're basing your salvation, which is a whole nother subject that is not equal to what salvation is in the Hebrew text.
Correct.
Salvation in the New Testament text is not the same salvation that is purported in the Hebrew text. I was going to talk about that tonight. We don't have time tonight.
Okay. Yeah.
Not the same.
Not the same. Not at all. Agreed.
So you're going to ask me if I believe that it's ordained by the Most High, and I'm going to ask anybody that's listening to this podcast, please write me. You have our website where you can write me an email to ftf@firsttab.org. You can go on our website. You can send me a text. Show me in the scriptures, in all scripture, where the Most High authored or ordained a Greek document for his people, Hebrew Israel. Show me that. Show me where that is. Because the problem being with what I'm saying tonight, when we read the Hebrew document correctly and we put his name where it needs to be and we take out the name Lord and God, he says, and then you will know that I am Yahweh. And then you will know that I am Yahweh. And then they will know that I am Yahweh. He signs off on everything that he does that he wants everybody to. That's not over in the Greek document.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
There is no signature signing off in the Greek document. Mm-hmm. If the God of the Greek document has anything to say at all, shh, don't tell nobody.
Right. Don't say that I did any of that. Because one of the things that's very tantamount that we see that keeps coming up about the Most High is that he always introduced himself as I am the one that did this. And this is for Hebrew Israel. And this is what I want you to do. Signed, I am Yahweh. And then he takes a 400-year dirt nap and then wakes up over here in the New Testament, and all of a sudden he forgets everything that he did for the nation.
Yeah, see it, and trying to get people to understand that is impossible.
Yeah, because I think we go back to the original statement, which is for them, and that's what I had to understand too, is I'm going through this particular week and I'm doing my study. And one of the things I like to do is I like to try to go and check what my contemporaries are saying out there. What are our contemporaries, and when I may say contemporaries, I don't mean it in the literal sense because we're Hebraic, they're Christian, but what is being taught in the Christian church on this particular subject? I'm interested in that, on what our people are hearing. And what's interesting the whole entire time while I'm doing this particular research is that it's the way things are framed and it's the way things are taught. It goes back to the issue of when we're talking about scripture here, they think that it's the New Testament. When they're talking about the laws or moral, ethical things, moral code, it's a different set of rules and parameters than it is in the Masoretic text. Even though they're pulling that from the Masoretic text in order to establish what they have over here, it's like if they have some cognitive dissonance to say, well, we like to act like this is the Golden Corral, where this is a buffet, where we get to pick and choose which ones we like, and then we will go and establish that as scripture for us. Because they do it all the time. We go no further than to bring up what's in that egregious crap that's over there in Hebrews.
Yeah.
Where they flat out tell you, we changed it.
And when I read that egregious stuff in Hebrews chapter 7, I want to know where in the Greek document does this guy that you're talking about give you anything that's new? When he does speak of any law at all, it comes out of the Hebrew text.
Absolutely.
He's not giving you any new laws.
That's why I think
there must be a need for a new law. He doesn't give you any new law. Read it. If you know the Hebrew text, when he opens his mouth and speaks about a mitzvot, he quotes a mitzvot that comes out of the mitzvot that the Most High spoke. So he's not giving you anything new at all.
Right, and what's interesting is the fact that matter of fact, Moray Beverly ended up giving us a teaching on that, where he says, listen, let's take a look at this in its context. We have the mitzvot that's here, and he directly comes behind it in Matthew, and he says, what do you say, teacher, about this? And he says, well, this is the law, but this is what I say. What do you mean what you say? This is the whole entire, listen, the more and more I look at this thing, the more and more I establish in my mind as a foundation that you have, and hear me out on this. You're probably going to maybe disagree with what I'm getting ready to say. And this might be something, maybe for me. I think the work of the New Testament is an egregious work of genius. I'm going to say that one more time. It's an egregious work of genius. Because number one, somebody had to go through, take a text, go back into our text, pull stuff out of it, and put it in there to validate an agenda that's over there, which is to sell you this guy named Christ. Because everything in our text points to a nation of people, to a set of statutes, policies, laws, all types of things that govern the Hebrew people. It gives us our antiquity of our history, how the creation of the world was made. All of these things are prophets write about how things are going to happen to a particular group of folk. And when you make it exclusive, some folk don't like that. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to give you a text that makes it exclusive for everybody. We're going to take away that exclusivity from this group of people and give it to everybody. And then the grafters of it are going to say, we are the ones, right, that are handing this out to you. Catholic Church, all those individuals, they control all that.
Now
I'm getting off into another subject.
No. Now I'm going to tell you my take on what you just said. Okay,
got it.
I agree with you.
Okay.
But I agree with you on this point. Let's go to Devarim chapter 13, and I'm going to make a point here.
Got it. Devarim chapter number 13.
Devarim chapter 13. Gotta hurry. Everything I'm commanding you, you are to take care to do. Do not add to it or subtract from it. Now, if a prophet or someone who gets messages while dreaming arises among you, and he gives you a sign or wonder, and the sign or wonder comes about as he predicted when he said, let's follow other gods, which you have not known, and let us serve them, you are not to listen to what that prophet or dreamer says.
Right.
Put a pin in that. You're not to listen to what that prophet or dreamer says.
Right.
For Yahweh, your Elohim, is testing you in order to find out whether you really do love Yahweh, your Elohim, with all your heart or all your being. Mm-hmm. You are to follow Yahweh, your Elohim, fear him, obey his mitzvot, listen to what he says, serve him, cling to him. That prophet or dreamer is to be put to death because he's urged rebellion against Yahweh your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, redeemed you from a life of slavery in order to seduce you away from the path of Yahweh your Elohim, ordered you to follow. This is how you are to rid your community of witness. But I want to go back. Okay?
Put that pin. Okay.
Let's go back to the pin. Okay? Mm-hmm. If a prophet or someone who gets messages while dreaming arises among you and gives you a sign and a wonder, and the sign and wonder comes about as he predicted, let's follow other gods which you have not known. You are not to serve them. You are to listen. You are not to listen to that prophet and what he dreamer says. For Yahweh your Elohim is testing you.
Yes, he is.
Now, let's go to this Greek document.
Okay.
The Most High knows and knew that Israel, Hebrew Israel, had an idolatrous mind. Mm-hmm. He knew that. So in order to prove his point, he allowed an idolatrous nation to write them an idolatrous text that they swallowed hook, line, and sinker and went after following other gods. What did he say? I'm doing this to test you to see whether or not you love me.
Okay, it's time to end this. I'm done. I'm out.
That's what that document is all about. That Greek document is a test for Hebrew Israel to determine whether or not you love him. That's what it's about.
Y'all hearing this in the chat? That was, and the words of Rick James, cold-blooded.
Now, how when you look at text, what does the Most High use to test his people with? He tests his people with the thing that he believes they are most susceptible to. And Hebrew Israel was susceptible to idolatry. So he allowed an idolatrous document to be drafted, placed in front of them to test them to see whether or not they loved him.
Wow. Wow. You realize you've just connected some dots, at least in my mind, to justify why that New Testament is even there, why the Most High even allowed it.
That's why he allowed it.
It's a test.
It's a test. It's a test. And here's the test. Scripture is validated by the prophets. The prophets validate Scripture. I call them the Most High's accounting firm. They attest to everything that he has said to Hebrew Israel. They attest to every aspect of why Hebrew Israel is in exile. They attest to everything that's going to get Hebrew Israel out of exile, and they attest to everything that the Most High has made a covenant about, that the Most High cannot lie and he cannot change his mind. So he's given you a document to test you against that which is true.
What do you want me to say after that? Man, listen.
This has been Moray Robert B. Holman Jr.
and Moray Sean Appleton.
And this has been Hebrews in Exile.
Shalom.